teams as a whole. So, first things first is praising, right? So this is a feature that is part of that Microsoft has included that used to be a third-party offering that is now integrated into the actual product itself. So when we talk about recognition, one of the big things here at GraVoc is we love to praise each other. We love to kind of talk about our achievements and celebrate those achievements, and what better way to kind of build a team and keep that kind of family environment going than using the praising tool. So what that is a way to either privately or publicly praise someone. I know that there are probably a number of introverts in the audience or watching at home, and external praise isn't always the best way to go about it. So you can do it privately or publicly, depending on what you're looking to accomplish or who you're looking to kind of bring attention to. So in the first thing, and by the way, this is going to be a live demo, so I'm going to kind of play along. You can follow along here. I'll try to gesture where I can. So Christine has helped me put this together, and with help of Dan Johnson and Rhea, we've done they've done a great job. So what I want to do is I want to personally praise Christine, but then I'm going to publicly praise Rhea. Just no offense towards either of you, it's just the way that it works. So you can see down here on the bottom bar, our taskbar section of Teams, you can see something that looks like a little medal or a ribbon. When you click this, you'll see the little pop-up comes up, and it's going to ask you a couple of questions. Once it loads, it's going to ask you who you'd like to praise and why we are praising them. So you can see, because I'm already in the messaging with Christine, it automatically fills her name in there. Now we have a couple of options across the bar here to see, what kind of recognition is it? Is it a kind heart, which we know she has? Is it creative, which we know she has? Is it inclusive? We're going to call it growth. So I'm going to say, thank you very much for putting this together. And I know that her favorite color is blue. Blue, perfect. So I'm going to put a little blue tint on there, and I'm going to send it. So Christine is going to get a little personalized praise message in her Teams. She will be able to kind of keep that. You can see that she reacted with a little emoji on the bottom there, just so she knows, letting me know that she received it. But let's say that I want to be a bit more public with the praise. So here you're going to see I'm going to go to the Teams, to one of my teams, and you can see I have a demo team set up here. I'm going to click New Conversation and do the same exact process. I click on that little ribbon button, and then here it doesn't automatically fill a name because there's nobody in here yet. But I'm going to type in Rhea's name, and I'm going to say she's awesome. So thank you for putting this together. So now this one's a much more public praise. So anyone that's in this team is going to be able to see this, react to it, respond to it, and recognize Rhea for all the help that she's done as Rhea just reacted right there in the moment. Second thing, number 2, priority chats. So normally, when we're talking about chatting, we're responding back and forth. It's a live conversation that we're having with someone that is here or remote, wherever they might be. And that's happening in the moment, or sometimes they go away and they don't respond for a little while. Usually you can tell if there's a little check mark or a little eyeball, it means that they've read it. But sometimes we get busy, we get tied up, we go to another meeting, who knows what it is. What you can do is there's a couple different options for priority chats, similar to how it functions in Outlook. So in Outlook, you can send a priority mail where it looks like a little exclamation point, so that way it shows up in everybody's mailbox, everybody gets nervous. You can do a similar thing in Teams and even expound on that even further. So with Christine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to start, before I start typing my message, again on this lower bar here, you'll see there's a little exclamation point, just like in Outlook. This is one of the big things that Microsoft, I think, really nails is UI design, and how everything looks and feels is the same between applications. So if you move from Outlook, if you go to Excel, a lot of the same things like share buttons, notifications, things like that, all look and feel the same. So that's what I think really kind of sets them apart from most of the other applications out there. So when I click on the set delivery options, you can see it comes up a little menu system here. So I have my standard message, which is our kind of normal standby, that's the default. You can see I then have a second version, which is important. So what that's going to do is if I click on important, say that I have something that I know Christine needs time sensitive, maybe I don't know if she's looking at her computer, maybe I don't know if she's there. I'll set this to important, and I'll say, hey, when you see this, we made the big deal. I don't know, is that business talk? That's what I think. So you can see that it shows up with a little red exclamation point, letting the person who is receiving that message know that this is something that is really key and really important that you want them to get eyes on right away, right? So it's a great way to just bring your eyes right to this specific message, and it will make sure it sends them an alert in their Teams notification system. The second tier is a fun one. So this one is, the second one is, I'll show you, is urgent. So you can see that it actually kind of tells you what it does here. Recipient will be notified every 2 minutes for 20 minutes. So whether or not I want to show my bosses this, I do not know. This is something that I was hoping to keep secret, but here we are. So what
this is a great feature.
So this is, again, kind of calls back that whole, are people too busy? Is somebody looking at my messages? What's going on? This, when you label as urgent, what this is going to do is this will literally ping them every 2 minutes, just like it says, notifying them of the same message that I sent. So if Dave has a customer that he's waiting on an answer from me for, and he knows I'm wrapping up a message or a meeting, he can set this to urgent, put it in exactly what it is, like, hey, did that deal close yet? And what that's going to do is, unfortunately for Christine, she is going to see this ping up every 2 minutes until she responds to it. So once you notify, once it's been recognized from the person who is receiving the message, it will not keep messaging them. That would be a bit much, but it is a great way to kind of make sure that someone is seeing it and reminding them that there is something waiting for them, essentially kind of flashing like that little light on your phone or whatever it might be to help you remember that you have something to do. So the catch is, with this, this is only available in direct chats. You cannot set priorities in a team. So that's one thing that kind of sets this apart, is you can't use this in a team. It's only in direct chats or group chats, like I mentioned before. So that's one thing to just remember and think about. Cool. Next one, bookmarks and pins. So when we're talking in Teams, and obviously I'll give you a little hint, this is a demo option, a demo account for me. My normal Teams looks way more chaotic, way more busy than this, as I'm sure almost everyone here does as well. And one of the things that kind of gets lost in the shuffle or can be difficult to kind of pull up is like specific chats you have with people. Maybe they shared a document with you in Teams, or maybe they sent you a really important message with credentials that you need to log into, you need to remember. So one of the options you have in Teams as well is to pin a specific conversation or a chat in the actual team. So and this is possible in both versions, so we'll show both. So in this Christine chat, what I'm going to do is I want to pin this praise because I'm just so happy with her, happy to work with her. This is great. So what I do is you want to go up to the little ellipses in the top right, and you'll see that there's actually a little pin button here. And what this is going to do is it's going to tell you that you pinned a message down in the chat window, and then it's going to give you this little banner up here at the top. This one might not be as good because it's not text, so it's hard to see. But if we pin something that has text in it, you'll see right on the top, it shows you, hey, this is something that I either want to remember or a conversation or response that I want to kind of note for the future. And you can always pull it back up right from the top. It will always stay there when you close out Teams. Anytime you go there until you dismiss that pin, it will stay there as essentially a notification, right? And to get rid of it, again, you just go up to that little 3 ellipses, and you can either view it in chat, which will zoom you up to where that conversation initially happened, or you can just unpin it directly from the chat. And we'll make sure that you want to do that. But let's say we want to do it with Teams. So I'm going to put a new conversation in here, pinned chat. Great. So in here, it works the same way. So we can see when we hover over the specific chat that we want to see or pin, we go to the 3 little ellipses, and then we're going to go to the pin section. So one thing that's going to be noticeable here, there's no banner. Where'd it go, right? So this is the key difference between the chat functionality and the Teams functionality. But the reason that this is hidden in a way is because you can have multiple things pinned in the team. A lot of times, especially in the IT world, we have, 20, 30 projects going sometimes at some point. So sometimes there's a need for multiple pins rather than just having one specific, like there is in the chats. We can have multiple versions of these. So where do they live? Well, first things first is you'll notice that the chat that I have here is green. It has a little icon here that shows me that it's pinned. But say that this is 2 months ago down the line, and it's way lost in the chatter at this point. What you can do is you go up to this little top, this little tiny hidden info up here, this little tiny guy. So when you click on this is going to show you a whole bunch of information about the team itself. It's going to show you who's recently talked, who's included in this team, but then you'll also see at the bottom here, pinned posts. So here you can kind of quickly jump to the specific chats or the pinned chats that you have, whether this be a saved file or a conversation in Teams itself. You can jump around to the multiple pins you have in that specific team itself at any time. So it's a really great way to organize things and kind of try to eliminate some of that noise that naturally happens in Teams. So little I, pin posts, find whatever you need. Make sense? Great. So, next, whiteboarding. So this is an interesting one because one of the things that I feel like a lot of people have experienced in the COVID era and the times after is the lack of physical touch or the ability to just jump onto a board and start sketching out stuff. I know my boss, Steve, loves to sketch stuff on whiteboards. It's how he gets it in his head. We then take pictures of it. It's a whole situation. But in Teams, you can actually do that digitally now. So you can have that same kind of physical feel on a digital environment. So what that looks like is I'm going to start a chat myself here. I'm going to go to my calendar, and I'm just going to create a new meeting with myself because it's okay to have a one-person meeting. And sometimes you might need to whiteboard by yourself. You can do it. So I'm going to join this. Great. So here we are alone in my empty room. And normally what you do is, you'd be pulling up a document to share, or you'd be sharing your screen with a window that has pertinent information. But what you can do is also in the share section. When you click it, see it's going to take a second to load. And you have this option right here, Microsoft Whiteboard. Again, just a digitized version of a normal whiteboard. So what you'll see is going to generate its own whiteboard. We're going to say new whiteboard. It will also save any ones you've previously done. So if it's something you've done in a prior meeting, you can automatically pull it back up here from all of these kind of pre-edited whiteboards, but we don't have any, so we're just going to do a new one. So here we have a digital whiteboard. So this is exceptionally great if you have a touch screen. If you don't have a touch screen, you can use a mouse. Either way is perfectly fine. I happen to have a touch screen, so what I'll do is, I'll say, okay, I'm going to write in a red marker. So I can start draw whatever I want. dollar signs. Again, this is a business meeting. We're talking big money, we're planning accounts, we're putting everything on the board here. So you can draw as you need, and the cool thing is anybody that's included in this Teams meeting also has the ability to draw and do the same exact stuff as you do. It's a collaborative environment, and it's a way to kind of move to a digital space and keep that same kind of physical, tactile board feeling. So you can draw, you can put specific notes in, you can choose the color, you can drop it in here and move it around. So if there's a specific thing you want to note or highlight, you can drop it in here. There's reactions, you can put specific images, you can even upload documents onto here for editing. And it's just a great way to be able to feel like you're all in the same room and still utilize those same kind of old school feelings of how we portray this to a larger group. So when we have this whiteboarding, one of the things that's really great is after we're done with it, because again, one of my favorite things is my boss takes a snapshot, takes a picture of it with his phone, sends us the email that has the document in a kind of half-focused, blurry version of itself. See him scowling, but you have a better option in the Microsoft whiteboarding version. What you can do is you can actually export this as a document. So you can see it up here. Again, Microsoft's kind of standardized the share button. So you click Share Whiteboard. You can see that I can send it directly to internal or external clients. I would recommend sending this one, but you can send it directly that way, or if you want to kind of keep it and file it away in a SharePoint or somewhere else, you can go to the gear, and you can see you can actually just export it as an image, and it will just automatically download it as a JPEG to your computer, and then you'll have a digitized version of your digital whiteboard. So, again, a great way to make it feel like an old school environment, but in a new school kind of digitized way. So, very good. I like this one a lot. This one's, I just feel like it's very underused. So, cool. All right. So, translating chats is our next bullet. So, today, because we are in a world that is digital and we are reaching beyond borders at this point, I know a lot of our clients have, even us, we have folks down in Costa Rica, we have people that speak multiple different languages. English might not be their native tongue, or yours might not be theirs. Microsoft has a great way to kind of make the inclusivity really apparent, right? Because the last thing you want to deal with is a language barrier where you get something confused and all of a sudden you miss a bullet point, a document, or a conversation you were having on Teams. So, Ray, was there something that you wanted to say to me? Here's the actual text. So, Ray sent me a message in Spanish. I don't know if anybody in my high school Spanish levels are dwindling, so I cannot quite read probably every big word here, maybe. I know Nate probably understands what this says right out the gate, but you can see when you hover over a specific chat that is in an alternate language than your own, and this is going off of the default setting of your computer, so it knows that you're English or if you're using a Spanish machine, what have you. So when you go to More Options, oh boy, here we go. So you can see we have a subsection here called More Actions, and right here we have the Translate button. And what this does is this will magically use Microsoft to translate this from whatever language natively it's being texted to you as directly to English. It does a good approximation. I think I said go Bruins. Come on, Bruins. There's probably a discrepancy in the text there. But overall, she let me know that the TPS reports still need to be delivered by the end of the month. So I'll do my best to finish them right out. I promise I'm going to do on time. So this is a quick way. It won't do it automatically. You have to do it by individual text, but it is a great way to kind of jump that language barrier gap that you might have, or allow you to work with someone that you might otherwise find difficult or just impossible to talk to. So I always love inclusivity, and I also wish I knew more than one language. Now let's talk not just regular text, we'll talk live text and transcription. So I'm going to hop back into my lonely meeting here. One of the big things as a project manager is a lot of times I'm running a meeting, I am trying to take notes, I am trying to update a document at the same time, I'm trying to spin multiple plates, which is always a little difficult, but Microsoft has added a couple tools that really help that out, I think, and I have started using this in some of my meetings. I highly recommend it for everybody else because I think this is a huge, huge piece of the puzzle here. So when I go to More, again, once I'm in the meeting, I'll go to More, and you'll see right at the gate, right at the top, record and transcribe. So everybody knows you can record a meeting. That's kind of standard fare at this point, nothing new there. But when you click on this, you can see Start Transcription is a secondary option now. So when you click Start Translation, or Start Transcription, excuse me, you can say, okay, English is the language that's being spoken in here. I'll hit Confirm. We'll give it a second. Great. So it should be able to hear everything that I'm saying going forward. The text should automatically appear in this transcript, and it will do its best to catch every word that I say regardless of how fast I say it or how slow I say it. So you can see that Micro Machine speed is always a little bit difficult, but as a whole, it's a great way to capture all of the things that you might miss in a meeting or that might be overlooked or somebody kind of makes an offhand comment. You can quickly refer back to this transcript and kind of prove yourself. So that's one piece of the text portion. The other side is, again, inclusivity. Sometimes people have hard of hearing. You know, my grandpa, I talk with him over digitized versions all the time, and he'll say what, or sometimes the connection just isn't great. What you can do is, again, through the More section, language and speech, keep right-clicking things, you can see turn on live captions. So what this will do is this will change, and you can see now that on top of the fact that it's transcribing this meeting, it's also automatically converting every word to a visible CC. So it's, again, I love anything that makes people be able to be more involved or be more inclusive, and it is a fantastic feature that I highly recommend everybody at least give it a shot. So this also helps things try to not be as convoluted, or if you miss a word or something, it's easy to quickly view on the screen. You can see it does eventually fade away, but that's why the double between the transcription and the live CC can really help a lot of meetings. That is the text portion of it. So I'll show you, I'll leave this meeting, dismiss this. And then you can see this meeting with Matt Halliday. Here's the transcript that was recorded. I can open it right in Teams. And here is the entire text that I had just spoken. So again, this is pretty invaluable, especially if you are one of those people like me that wears a lot of hats and does a lot of things during meetings and needs to keep track of all of it. So, from a digital invite standpoint, we know that we have the ability to chat, we know that we have the ability to discuss things in Teams, but let's say we're trying to reach a larger audience, right? And this is something that we discussed that we can possibly change this into, but it was too far down the line. But in the future, what you can do is you can actually create your own webinar directly from Teams. So this is a huge addition that Teams has added recently, because you used to have to pay Citrix or one of those other third-party brands to even host a webinar. But now through Teams, your subscription through Teams, you have the ability to create your own webinar and host it, send invites out, everything right from Teams. It's really great. So when you go into the calendar feature, you'll see that we have that big flashing blue new meeting button. But when you click on that little down caret, you'll see the very last one is webinar. So here, you have the ability to create your own webinar. So we're going to say this is going to be a Teams presentation. I'm always praying for no spelling errors because it's live, it's going to be forever. So I'm just going to say Teams presentation. So you can see here I can choose when I want this to be hosted. So we're going to say this is going to be next Friday, the 21st. We're going to be starting it at 4 o'clock, and it's going to run until 7. It's a long one. It's a lot of stuff to cover. I know that myself, I'm going to be presenting, but I know that I'm not going to be the only one involved in this process. So that's where the co-organizer comes in. So the co-organizer essentially gives you the same authority in the webinar as the presenter does. It's just you know that person is going to be presenting. So I know like Christine, a lot of times she's behind the camera, and so is Rhea. So I'm going to put both of their names in here as co-organizers. And then the final option here, you can see that do I want to make this an internal webinar, or do I want to make this wide open to the World Wide Web? So this is a great way if you're going to be doing any kind of fundraising or product launches or anything like that. You can do it directly from Teams. So we're going to say it's a public one, just for the time being. And I'm going to say save and send invites. So once that loads up, you're going to see that button up here turn blue. It was originally gray. But what I'm going to do first is I'm going to go down on the left-hand column here. You can see that there's presenter bios, and there's also theming. So in here, I can put a little bit about myself. I can put, which company I'm from, my LinkedIn profile, my Twitter profile, if I still had one, my job title, and you can automatically save it. So it's me. I'm going to save that, and now I'm going to publish the site. So it's going to ask you, once again, hey, are you sure this is going to be okay? This is going to open registration. People are going to be able to find this to register once you do it. So when we know we're good to go, we'll hit that publish button. And here it is. So it shows you what the link is. So I'm going to open up the browser here. We're going to go to this. You're going to see it automatically formats website for you. You can change the theme, you can change the photos on here, you can see all the dates, the information. It's obviously an online event, and you can see who's speaking, all of their credentials that they put in, that you filled in for that bio section, and then you can also register here. So this is really a game changer. I'm assuming that Citrix and some of those other third-party companies are not happy about this, as it takes the wind out of their sails completely. The search bar is actually really powerful. You can do kind of anything through the search directly from this little bar up here. So whether you're searching for specific text in a chat that you have, or you just want to do things in Teams itself, one of the neat things you can do is when you click on it, you can see it tries to say, okay, hey, you're looking for messages, files, or you can type /. So when you type /, you can see it suddenly brings up a ton of different options right out of the gate. These are pre-formatted, built so you can automatically flip to what you're looking for without having to navigate in Teams to that specific thing. So if you want to call somebody, you can click call, and you can see it will automatically start to populate with the people that you've talked to recently. Or you can do /. You can automatically set your status to be busy. So say you're hopping on a call really quickly, you don't want to fumble up to the top and then go do the drop down. You can do it right from here. You'll see it should shift my bubble from green to red, letting people know, letting my boss know that I'm busy and not to bother me. But yeah, it's a great tool that is really underutilized and is a quick way to jump around and utilize Teams more efficiently rather than having to fumble around and remember where a specific feature is or what you might be looking for. It's kind of all right there at your fingertips. The only thing you have to remember is /. You get all those beautiful options right there. So you can see it's all sorts of different stuff. So that is the last piece feature, but the last thing that we wanted to talk about was there's different tiers of Teams. and this is something that is kind of a newer subsection of Teams. So by default, anybody who has a Microsoft 365 license has a Teams account automatically set up. You can also set up a free version of Teams if you just are looking to do, like, if students or your friends are just looking to hang out on Teams. You can do a free version, but the tiers themselves, there is actually a premium tier of Teams, which is not as, they don't put it forward as much as I think they might want to. It is additional cost on top of your standard licensing. It's $7 per user addition, but it does offer a ton of different above and beyond features as part of Teams. One of the things it can do is it can do intelligent recaps. So similar to what you saw with that transcription, imagine instead of just transcription, it gives you bullet points and action items that will automatically be sent to specific people that are mentioned in the meeting. It will automatically do that for you, and it will digest it, give you a recap summary of the meetings themselves. It can do watermarking for video, for content protection and leak protection. If you're discussing something internal that's really sensitive and you want to make sure that nobody's going to leak it, you can watermark your videos. You can also add on sensitivity labels. So if you know you're going to be discussing something financial in this meeting, you can put a financial tag or an HR tag on it. So that way, before people get to the meeting, they'll know what's going to be discussed and what needs the kind of the aura or the kind of feeling of the meeting is going to be going into and they can prepare for. Another big thing that they really bury here is, has anybody here tried to join Teams on their phone? What does it make you do? Do you know? This is not a trick question, but it makes you download the app. It routes you to the app, right? What a pain in the butt, right? It is the bane of people. I know so many people are on the road. Nate's on the road a lot. When he has to jump on, sometimes he has to do it through his phone. It will route you through an app. But with this premium version on Teams, you can actually join directly through mobile web, and it also makes it a one-touch join for anyone external joining through any web device, whether it's computer, iPad, or phone. It's a one-touch click, and it jumps them directly into the meeting, rather than going through like the signing in process and all this other kind of rigmarole that you have to go through when you sign in. It will allow you to join mobile. It will allow you to join through anything through one-touch click, which is a huge, huge benefit, especially for, I know that I've spent probably a day and a half of people waiting for people to join a call because they're having trouble struggling with accessing it or getting onto the call itself. This just completely puts it out from under its legs and allows them to join automatically. So those are a couple of the big features that we always want to talk about with this premium tier of Teams. But again, like I said, it is an additional cost, but a lot of benefit you're getting there is pretty useful, I think, helpful otherwise. Great. So those are all the topics that we want to talk about. I will now open it up to Q&A. If you have any questions, you can let me know. If not, we can enjoy the rest of the time that we have planned. Does anybody have any questions for me or?
It's actually with the phone app, I thought, oh, let me see how this works, right? But like, I was noticing a lot of that functionality is not in the phone app, or am I just not finding it?
It is neutered, for sure. It is not, unfortunately, it is not there yet. That's the case with a lot of mobile apps, is they break it down to the lowest common denominator. What are the main key features that they want to be used? And I think this is sourced, whether it's through internal feedback or that little feedback button that you see pop up every now and then on your Teams when you had a call. They take that into consideration and then lower it down. Because if it had the same capability as a physical app on your device, it would be so much larger and more resource intensive. It's similar to how if you are using Excel locally, the web version is always slightly inferior. Sometimes you can't do pivot tables. There's other things you can't do on the web version. That's just a resource, desire and like a problem. So I'm sure down the line, once machines, exponentially grow as they have been doing for the last 10 years, we'll get there. It's just right now they kind of whittle it down to the key features that everybody wants. But yeah, there is going to always be a couple of things here and there that are not in the mobile version, for sure. Yes.
have other questions, but go ahead.
Sure.
No, you have a question, go ahead.
When I have yet to understand the advantage of using Teams over chat, I've got a bunch of group chats at work and we just keep going back to that. Why would I want to use, it just seems like using that Teams button for communicating is not helpful. I could see it for file sharing and finding things in a central location, but what's the point of?
It is definitely, I agree 100%. I have plenty of group chats, but I also utilize Teams functionality a lot because what it does allow you to do, on top of the fact that like it has the file sharing option, so if we're looking at Teams, I'll show you visually. So you have the file section up here at the top where all shared files can go and be accessed. But how I usually differentiate them is when I want to do like notifications, I'll put it in a team because I know that everyone's going to be able to see it in there. It's going to be a place where people can respond. It's much more like not like a Facebook wall, but it feels like a social environment, whereas like direct messages can be lost a little bit easier. I feel like in Teams chats, you have the ability to pin more stuff, which is important as we've kind of looked at, and it also allows you to you can add an entire group. If you add general, for instance, that will notify every single person in that team, regardless of maybe you missed them or they were excluded from a side chat, a group chat. Most teams are auto-populated by your Active Directory or the group or department they're in your company. So you know that you're going to hit everybody with a notification in the team versus chats can sometimes get quickly passed by. So it's really just direct communication and constant communication is way better for chats, I agree 100%. But when it comes to like notifications and like if we're doing a huge migration, I'll at my entire IT team and say, hey, this is happening on this day at this time, here's the files, I'll link the files in there, and it just appears as a big block of text that nobody can ignore. And then if anybody comes and says, hey, where's that stuff? The first place they know is to look for it in Teams. So it's just kind of grooming yourself how to use it in a different manner. But I agree, direct conversation is always going to be easier for chats.
Okay. Well, I think this has been very, very helpful, and I appreciate it. I'm just wondering, I mean, I should have brought a notepad and taken a few notes. Do you have like a little cheat sheet of everything you went over?
Yeah. Yes, we will be making one after this, and I think that we're also going to be re-recorded this, so you'll be able to re-watch it if you want to. But we'll send out a little kind of modified version with all the points of information.
Things, yeah, that would be great.
So just to clarify, so if I'm doing individual chat with it, I'm only allowed to have one message pin.
Correct.
But if I go into Teams, I can have all.
There's
no limit.
There's no limit. And that's the benefit is like a lot of times we'll pin new SOWs or we'll pin like specific project documents in there, and it just makes it a quick reference point. You can go to that little eye at the top and then see all the things that have been pinned, even by you or me.
Okay, so you can see, but anybody in that team.
Anyone in that team will see that.
Okay, so we have it set up so that there's different teams within teams set up.
Yeah, you can have multiple.
But as long as I belong to one of them, then I'll see that personally, or I have to go into that.
You have to go into that specific team to see them, yes, because each team is like an island.
Yeah.
And it's isolated. So the people who have access to it, and it also has its own files, history, and
I just didn't know if it had like
a shared
like
section.
a shared site. This is what you have. This is everything.
No, because then that would be like a permission nightmare from a back end perspective. But if you go to each individual team, you'll have all hidden history that you can have there. Yes. Lovely. Well, thank you all for coming. I hope this was informative, and hopefully we'll be able to do this again, and we'll have something new up our sleeves because we operate in every sector of the IT world, so we'll see what comes next. Hopefully we'll see you next.